Welcome to the Real on Parenting. I am your co-host,
Um,
Kiana Shaw.
oh my goodness. And our therapist, Danielle. Yeah, she got me with that one. Well, I wasn't ready. I
I
wasn't ready.
always I like it when we start the show off on a laugh. So I always have to give some level of
Ooh.
shenanigans because
Oh my
Danielle be
goodness.
over there
Ooh.
like, yeah, she just how
You
you
about to
doing?
induce a hot flash. So
How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? Oh, okay. I was saying, did you hear me?
I'm smiling
Right. Sometimes you just gotta smile to make it through.
to keep
Make the
from
smile.
crying. To keep from crying. You just
Okay. Okay, that is the correct saying. I would just be trying to change things given the situations, but yes, to keep from crying.
how
Go
are you
ahead.
this week? Like what's going on?
This week was all right. It was all right today. My daughter was her last day of her punishment. She was thoroughly excited because she was able to wear her version of makeup. I call it her version because it's not real makeup. But anyways, but she was on punishment for not telling the truth. So
Mm.
she was on punishment for a week. So that felt good because I mean I'm no longer on punishment too. We can talk about that as well. Like you be
On
when your child
punishment with your kid?
be on the level of punishment too,
Because they only have you to talk to.
girl.
There's no other outlet. They can't watch TV.
But how are you? How's this week been for you?
So I'm a
Is
basketball
that the
mom.
mean smile? What is that? What is that?
It's me resetting myself.
No take
I'm a basketball mom now. Kayla had her first game last week. Um, Apparently, she did not appreciate my enthusiasm.
Oh.
Apparently, me having pom poms, two sets of pom poms, and a bullhorn was a bit much. Uh,
But despite your own voice being able to project as if you are using a bullhorn, you needed the surround sound, the
Well,
movie
keep in
theater.
mind that, there's like the opposing team's cheerleaders are sitting next to us. I didn't know that ahead of time, but they were next to us, like
So
in the
you were
next
sitting
section.
next.
And they were kind of obnoxious. You know what I mean? Like they
Oh,
when it was,
sound like they were
when
doing their job though. Did they do their job?
yes. And so I
Okay.
had a job to do too as a mother. So when they, were trying to distract us while we were doing our free throws and things like that, they making all this noise. And so I yelled through the bullhorn. Um, I yelled, they make cheers, we make baskets.
Okay.
Apparently, that was unsportsmanlike conduct, according to my child. I mean, I didn't get ejected out the game or nothing, so I thought I was
Okay.
fine. Um, and I did ask if I could run up and down the court and cheer, and she said no. So I stayed in my seat. Well,
Well,
I
good
mean,
job.
I stayed in my seating area because I didn't sit down, like, because I would jump up and I was extremely enthusiastic as a
I see.
parent, and my daughter has uh, all but ordered me to leave the pom poms and the bullhorn. But the trade off is because she also got in trouble for lying, and she
So they
normally
was drinking
doesn't
that
lie.
same water.
Let me pause right there because I had to explain to her. I am the one person in your life that is coming when you call. Don't lie to me. I got to be able to have the whole story. Now you tell me the
Yeah.
whole story and I will figure out the lie for the police, right? You don't have enough experience to lie. I can't have you making up the lie. So she got caught up in a lie she told back in December because I keeps my
Remember.
receipts.
I do understand that language. Here we are about to be in March, but okay, but she got caught. Okay.
Listen, you got caught, and she couldn't remember her lie. See, that's another thing. You
Yeah,
you don't
you're
have
right.
enough lying experience.
Right.
So my trade-off was if I allow you to stay on the team. Now she was like, Mom, that's gonna let down the team. You let down the team by not
You
doing what you're supposed to
right.
do. That don't have
Yeah.
nothing to do with me. I pull you from the sport. Listen, if they got to forfeit the rest of the season, that's not on me. That's on you. You have the responsibility to them. I have a responsibility to parent you.
Yes,
So
yes.
if the whole team, I don't care. So
They'll
I
figure it
said, if I allow you, because I eventually let her pick her punishment because she
out.
doesn't
Okay.
lie. And so this was something that she got caught up in. She
Mhm.
clearly could not defend herself. I gave her a little bit of grace
Okay.
because lying is not something that she normally does.
Hmm.
Right.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so I said, well, what would you pick if you had to pick your punishment? She said 1 to 2 weeks with no phone or TV. I said, okay, 2 weeks. I said 1 to 2 weeks. No, 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 two. That's what you get for giving me a range. 2 weeks. But that's 2 weeks of me.
Right, right.
But that's okay because we're gonna have bonding activities. But the important thing is that I was like, if I allow you to stay, the bullhorn and the pom poms are going too. She said, that sounds
Why
like
is that the
blackmail.
compromise?
She said, that sounds like blackmail. I said, no, this is me giving
Hey,
you
I'm with you,
options.
Kayla. That
This is
don't sound so.
options. This is options. This is not
That don't
blackmail.
feel like fair option.
But well, see, when you're not in charge, you don't get to choose the options, right? Like
Right.
this is where I draw the line.
Fortunately, right.
So
Poor Kayla. So
there it was interesting. So I did dial it back because I got phone calls. Listen, from a
wow.
homeboy I haven't talked to in over a year, but he called to tell me as a referee or coach or whatever he does, he was like,
Too
please,
much. Too
please
much.
stop. Please see it from her perspective. My dad and my bonus mom called me. My mom was there. She tried to keep the bullhorn.
Miss Pam knew what she was doing.
Listen,
She,
I cannot.
before you went in, I said no, 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 no.
One of my
No.
friends said, because I said, I'm just cheering. I said, I'm giving her what I wanted. Because, I didn't have my parents there a lot. Like I did drill team and stuff like that. Like they weren't there to cheer me on because they were at work. You know what I'm saying? And she was
So
like, that's not Kayla's trauma. That's your trauma. I was like,
that, hey, say it again because it took the words right out of my mouth. I didn't even need to
hey,
say
I
that.
need your support, not your criticism. Okay.
It's not criticism, it's the truth. It's the truth.
I need
The
your
truth
support, not your
hurts.
criticism.
But I'm glad you made adjustments based
I
off of
did. I left the
I,
bullhorn in the car and I only took in one set of the pom poms.
I appreciative for Kayla. Good job,
She
mom.
still didn't appreciate it. And then she was like, well, you were cheering louder for this one. And she had the ball. She made the basket. You want me to cheer you for dribbling? Okay. All right. Well, so apparently
It's a
I'm doing it
process.
all wrong.
You'll get it. You'll get it. You'll get
I
that.
don't I don't want to get it their way. I want to get it my way.
No,
I'm
you'll
I'm
get
going
it your way.
I'm going
You
back to the
will.
bullhorn.
No,
Tomorrow's
no,
game, it's bullhorn
don't do
and
that to her. And I'm laughing more so because I know the volume that I can get to. I know your natural internal basketball referee coaching voice by no means needs a bullhorn, okay? And so
and I
yes,
failed
Kayla,
at
you
not coaching
were
from the
louder.
sideline. She was very specific about me not coaching from the sideline. I completely failed at that yesterday. I
Well,
was like,
I'm with you
oh,
on that one.
I was like, the
I had
coach
my
is
child
distracted by
confused.
the game. That's
Right,
the problem.
yes.
I'm only watching my
Oh
kid.
no, I can't say that. No, I'm guilty, and I have my child confused on who to listen to. Coach Mama, who's yelling from the stands, but you can hear every word I'm saying, or the coach that's standing right in front of me, and I can barely hear him. So
Listen, it's not my fault that the coach does not assert herself. Okay, no, I've been
give
asserting
her some
myself
tips.
all my
Give her
life.
some tips.
I listen. The tip is let me come down and talk to the girls.
No, that
Now
ain't
let
the
me tell
tip.
you, I have never
Or
played
projecting your
organized
voice.
basketball.
Well, then what are you
I have never.
refereeing?
I've listen. I've never been a referee. I'm not even the person in the parking lot that takes the money and give you a ticket to park your car.
So
But I
you just cheering
know
for your
what.
baby.
But I know what I saw, and I was
Okay.
like, hands up. You got to guard. Like, how she gonna throw you the ball and your hands is by your waist? So she's like, my hands are up. They were not up because I'm watching.
Because you
So
say you need to reach for Jesus. That's why I say they run up. But anyways, because
the point is, um, apparently I'm doing this parenting thing wrong,
so
and I am going to move on into today's topic, which
Yes,
is
let's do this.
co-parent trauma bonding. And you are the expert here. And I think, is this your term? Is this an official
Yes, this is
DSM?
a therapist Danielle term. Okay, one thing you'll learn about me, I'm gonna make up a word. Okay, I'm gonna make up a word that makes sense to me. I don't care what
Right.
everybody else think, but it makes sense to me. Okay, but I'll
And
explain
those
to
of
you.
us orbiting around you will figure it out.
Right, right. Those who are choose to let me around me, y'all get it though. I don't even have to do much explaining because y'all understand the translations that need to occur. So
Absolutely.
but yes, I wanted to talk about, so basically it's just trauma bonding, and that term has been circling social media for some time now, which is not a bad thing. But I just doing co-parent in front of it because there is an aspect where your connection that you would drew you to your ex partner, and then it resulted in a child.
But is
Now,
that trauma?
well, in regards to, I'm saying that, well, I would say this: the connection. I'm referring to those individuals where it is an unhealthy relationship.
Got it. Okay.
And that bond, that initial bond, was a trauma bond that connected them or attracted them to each other.
Okay.
So here
All
you
right.
are
So I'm
now.
taking notes.
Oh, okay. So I don't want to say we all have trauma. I'm not going to say
Right.
that. However, everyone's perception and experience of certain life experiences determines their level of what they feel as far as experiencing trauma. You can't tell somebody else what they experience emotionally. That's the nutshell of it.
Facts. Facts.
So because if I saw a mosquito right now, girl, you'll be like, I saw a dinosaur. Anyways, so you was with all the antics, but but with the trauma bonding, it basically, in a nutshell, is the strong emotional connection between two individuals by way of their own individual different experienced previous trauma. And if you read up on it, you research it, there's a range. You can go from extreme trauma being abuse and all of it that falls under it, to various life experiences, whether that was consistent, frequent, or intermittent, meaning every now and then throughout that person's life. However, it still had an emotional impact on them. So we're now fast forwarding to being grown adults, if you will. I'm gonna just say older as age, because we ain't gonna say grown adult, everybody grown. And you are finding or have found yourself being drawn to, and that's what it's called, about the trauma bond, being drawn to this specific type of person, or you may question yourself, how do I end up, or friends may be telling you, why you always end up with this type of girl, this type of boy, or man or woman, and
picking the same
that's
person in a different body.
There you go. And sometimes it's the same scenario down to a T, which should be scary. But that should open your eyes and your ears to what they are actually trying to say if they are not aware of what's going on.
Okay.
Because there's, I would say 50% of that, or maybe more, 50%, is you. There's aspects of you that you need to acknowledge and that you need to work on. So let's fast forward that your initial attraction to this person was by way of a trauma bond, and boom, you guys have a child. And boom, you guys are no longer together. Now what? And unfortunately, there's probably a lot of people who can attest to the fact of experience that they cannot stand their ex.
Right.
And so in that basket, along with the trauma that they experience as an individual first, along with the possible, more than likely, the trauma that they experience within a relationship, is now going all in the same unhealed bag. So within that, there's a lot of unhealed aspects of that person that has not been addressed.
Yes.
Because if that person would have been actively working on their childhood or just life experience that they've, excuse me, life experience they had that has resulted in them experiencing trauma or such extreme distress that it is impacting their functioning now. Because some people don't feel that they have experienced trauma, but when I say it like that, like if certain situations, certain people, certain smells, certain environments, certain
Right.
things, certain colors, you know what I mean? I can go on and on, but honey, sir, and not in a rude way, I'm being rude for real.
Right.
Those are signs and indications, yes, you have experienced trauma. So now I'm gonna say forced to interact with this person because you guys have a child together and you guys are triggering each other.
Right. And unknowingly, like, because I don't think people
I was about to
knowingly
say
trigger.
knowingly and unknowingly. We know what to do and say to get our partner there, our ex there. But then there's aspects is like you're tripping. Like what is happening? Like, I only said this, or I only did this, and you're through the roof.
Right.
So I'm gonna say I kind of skimmed over the abuse aspect just because one to acknowledge that a good portion of it is related to abuse, okay? But what I want to speak to is the undercover, the passive nuances, if you will, that makes a person feel that their bond or initial attraction to someone was not a trauma bond. And it's more so to shed light and provide information, but also hold yourself accountable of what part you play so that you can work on yourself so that you can be a better parent to your child.
Absolutely.
Anything?
So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're looking at trauma parenting, no, well, not trauma parenting, but
Right. And
co-parent
we talk
trauma
about that too.
bonding,
Right. Yes. And I'm like,
because right,
yes.
because and it's a new term. It's a new term.
Right. It's right.
Our
Correct.
kids have to live out all the things that we don't get fixed. So
Yes.
if our trauma with the other parent is abuse, or if our trauma with the other parent may be and not necessarily physical abuse, but it could be like, financial abuse, right?
Yes. Yes.
If the trauma is, we have to shut each other down, like nobody knows how to use their inside voice. And so, sometimes the trauma is pettiness, right? Like, oh no, you going low, I ain't going high, I'm going to hell, right? Like, and I have found just saying, it's like they go low, we go high. No, they go low. So when we have that, our children have to live this out. And I
Yes.
feel like a lot of people don't understand that we are creating hurt human beings. We're creating human beings that have to fix their own trauma that we give them, or have to fix um, how they view our trauma so that they can even love us. Right? There are so many parents,
Yeah.
like the kids are just like, yeah, that's my parent, whether it's mom or dad, right? That's my mom, that's my dad,
Yeah.
but have
Mm-hmm.
no relationship. I see it all the time. It's like, oh, my parent is a narcissist. My parent is this. How do we help our children if we're in the middle of our trauma? Maybe we don't even recognize it, but we see our
Right.
children are acting out. What do we do?
Right. Right. And with that, this I would say this topic is something that is going to be sensitive, and us addressing it is coming from a place of care and love.
Right. And also get
Wanting
right.
you
Because, like, let's just be
right.
honest.
I
Like,
will
some
say
of y'all
because
be tripping.
with healthy love, there is that sense of calling. I don't even want to say calling you out, but holding you accountable. So
Right.
as a parent to your child, you need to work on you.
Mm-hmm.
You know that it may not be everything, but you know those areas and those things and those incidents on how you responded, how you're communicating, how you addressed it. Um, wasn't cool. It wasn't cool. And even how you speak of, your ex or your child's parent is not okay. I would
Yes.
say some parents feel that they're really, really focused on their relationship in it. And let me say this as well. Abuse, I'm going to say I'm sitting that to the side to a certain degree, because information and things I'm going to share is not all encompassed of being able to do that. Because there are safety factors. There are certain situations that require certain things. I'm not speaking of those. I'm speaking from the aspect of you are safe. Everyone is safe physically. Okay. The emotional, mental, that can be a bit tricky, but no one's going to the hospital. Okay.
Right.
No one's is getting physical injuries or anything of that nature. But how you respond to your child's parent, the other parent, shows
Yeah.
shows what you need to work on. If you're very reactive, your tone, your actual words that you use, the lack of communication, the lack of even listening, the doing what you want, the not including, the not considering, these sounds like only parent things, but no, that comes from a deeper place.
Yes.
That comes from a deeper place. And that may be a previous relationship. But even from that previous relationship, that came from a deeper place. You didn't all of a sudden find yourself in this relationship. No. And what I'm saying is that there is something that happened that was there prior to the adult life, if you will, happening. So some people may not be able to go to therapy, but that friend that tells you the truth, start there. Have an honest conversation with them.
Assuming you have that friend. Because some of us,
Assuming,
like our
but I
friends,
said the friend that
sanction
tells you
all
the
of our
truth.
foolishness,
Right,
right?
right, right. True, true, true.
I
Assuming you
have
have.
some extremely overly honest friends who are way more willing to check me than I care for, but thank you anyway.
The gratitude is there.
Danielle, Janita, Camila, Latoya, Naisha. Oh, okay.
Show me a name of folk. But the key word that I said is that would tell you the truth. And like you mentioned, not every person has people in their inner circle like
Right.
that. And if you do not, there's another red flag.
Check your circle.
There's because it literally is a spider web, because it's not just because of it's not only related to your child's parent. It's not only
Right.
related to the people you're
It
dating.
shows
It's
up
dealing
everywhere.
with relationships, interactions with others in any capacity. So if you don't have that person for you, then you can just be honest with yourself, because you could think in your head, is there a pattern? Has there been a pattern of how relationships start, how they end, whether that's intimate relationships, how that's friendships? It can be work relationships.
Yes.
Either way it goes, your boss is still a relationship. Your coworker
Yes.
that you don't care for is still a relationship. You know
You're
what I
making
mean?
me want to
So
share. You're making me want to share. So I'm going to say this
share,
because
share, please
um,
do.
my trauma response is usually to take absolutely zero crap from anybody. I don't care if it's, Sunday during communion. It don't matter.
Okay.
But the minute it's necessary to tag you, that's what I was going to do. I didn't realize it though. Um, I just felt like, I was always having these situations and somebody was always testing me. I'm battle tested, right? Like, I just felt like somebody was always testing me or somebody was always saying something to trigger this response from me. Um, and as I took responsibility for my response, I realized, like, goodness, like, as sweet as you are on so many levels, as much as people can count on you, you are very negative. You're looking for the response. You're looking for the moment you can check somebody. You're looking for the moment that you can say what is on your mind. Get a journal.
Yes.
Get a journal. Click record on your laptop and do a video blog to yourself. But your
Yeah.
friends don't want to hear this all the time.
Right.
And
Right.
thankfully my friends never was like, okay, we just gonna not invite her because we don't feel like that negative energy. But they were like, how come this is a repeated cycle, like even with other people? Like, let's
Yeah.
talk about that.
Right.
And when I had to have that conversation with Kayla, like, listen, mommy can be very reactive sometimes. I'm trying not to teach you that
Mm.
because mine is
Yeah.
based on trauma. Yours is learned behavior. I think we spoke about that a couple of weeks back.
Right. But say it
Um,
again for the people who missed the episode and who didn't want to hear it right now. So say it
mine was
again.
mine was trauma based, right? It was from abuse. It was from um, being taken advantage of. It was from a lot of things, from childhood to adulthood. It was trauma for me, but it was learned behavior
Right.
for my daughter when I would see like she would like, you know what I mean, just as she's sharing her day. And I'm like, well, why you say that? Why
Right.
what is that about? You know, and she would just be like, well, because they, she kind of had the I ain't no punk neither, you know.
Right. 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 Because they learned oh so well from
And
seeing,
so I
okay?
had to learn, like, in dealing with her dad, in dealing with relationships, and just
Mm-hmm.
with people in general. And you've commented on how you think I handle uh my interactions with her father, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
I try not to bring my
Stuff.
right to my daughter. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's extremely important that I never convey to her my thoughts or feelings about her father if it's negative, right? Like, it's because
Right.
she has a right to love him without
Right.
any of
Right.
my anger, without any of my uncertainties, without any of my experiences,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so when you're talking about the trauma bonding, and I think of not just my relationship with her dad, but my relationship with anybody, and I'm just like, wow, like I've done that a lot. You know what I'm saying? And I think on some level it's like a Stockholm
Yeah,
it's
it
a
is.
Stockholm effect. And people really do fall in love with their abusers.
They
Even if it
do.
means staying at a job for 20 years when you have not been appreciated. When they don't even let you call off. Your mama is in the hospital and they like, well, so you only
Right.
need one day off for the funeral, right? Like, come on. Like, and we
Yes,
stay,
yes.
we stay in these situations. We
Mm-hmm.
stay because on some level we have fallen in love with the abuser. Now, I don't know if that's a mental health crisis or not, but I
No,
think
it
that
is.
it's
It is.
borderlining.
No, no, it very much is. I will say,
Okay.
unfortunately, when you see social media, because that's our mainstream of everything,
Communication. Right.
right, is that it shows a lot of the extreme situations,
Hmm.
and I think with it only showing more extreme situation, really invalidates things that aren't identified as extreme. All of it is extreme. You know what I mean? Despite if there was blood or not, it's still extreme. And so, like you mentioned, like staying at the job for X amount of years or decades, if you will, and despite the unfairness, the being treated different than others, and
Right.
employees talk and all that, So, but that in itself, that person staying, and there's excuses because at the
Hmm.
end of the day, that's what they are. But
Right.
the I
Including
was
trust the devil, and we got bills to pay and all of that. Those are excuses.
yes, the validation that comes out of their mouth as a way to reinforce them staying is what you said. Because when a situation gets bad enough for that individual, and the key word is for that individual, that's when they would leave, right?
Right.
Or that's when they will end the relationship. However, they end
Trauma.
back in the same, right? They end back in the same dynamic,
Yeah.
the same or very similar relationship. And it's not okay. And just know that we know it's not easy, but you deserve better. But within that process of getting better with yourself or for yourself, you have to start with you. And your child should not be the brunt of your projecting your feelings, your reactions, your reactive
Absolutely.
feelings, thoughts, actions, all those things because of the work you didn't do on you and making them feel like, and let me say this, a lot of parents are very quick to say, I didn't say that. That's not what I said. That's not what I meant. Um, they didn't feel that way, referring to how their kid feels. And a lot of that is that's called deflection. That's what that is. You're deflecting on what the issue is. As a parent, make that difficult decision for you to be healthy. To be healthy. If you think
so let's pause right there, because make that difficult decision for you to be healthy and happy, right? It's not always easy to make that decision because it can hurt, right? Like letting go of what's familiar can hurt like hell. Letting go of what's familiar can make you feel like you're gonna die.
But it's not even letting go, and it comes that, so the wordplay plays a big difference. It's not about letting go. It's about learning healthy.
I like that. Learning healthy, releasing that stuff.
And releasing it, but working through what you didn't have an option in. As a child, you don't have an option. You don't have a choice. But as an adult, you do. And making that decision to choose healthy for you. So within that, if you break a bone or even if you skin your knee, it's a process to that healing. And that process usually does not feel good. That physical therapy and them stretching and them exercises, that mess don't feel good.
It doesn't.
But then when you start to see, I can actually walk without my ankle popping. It sounds crazy, but you notice certain things.
I'm like, wait, I can't do that yet. I can't.
Right. Where before you were on crutches, but now you're just in a what's it called, a brace, but you're walking on your independently, and you went from your brace to your regular shoe. It's working, and because it's our emotions, it's very hard to kind of just make a comparison. Are we improving? Are things getting better? And some people even say that more things are happening. And it's not that more things are happening. As you choose to heal, you have different lenses.
Yes.
So whereas when you're healing, you're becoming more insightful. You're becoming more aware of what your triggers are, to be honest. And you have the choice to set a limit and a boundary for yourself. And within your co-parenting relationships, limits and boundaries should be set. But just to clarify, it ain't F him and F her. No. That's not it. I'm always speaking healthy options, okay?
I was gonna say, well, that is an option.
No. I'm speaking healthy limits and healthy boundaries. That's just to be clear. But within that, you should see a difference in a transition on how you're communicating with the other parent, how you're responding versus reacting to the other parent. It's a process. And even though he says something or she says something that typically would trigger you, you found like, I didn't respond the way I usually do.
Right.
That is a part of healing. And within that, our children, your child is watching all of this. Even your unhealed version of you, which is providing where you're parenting your child in an unhealed way.
Yes.
They see it all. And then when they start to take on, I call it the passing of the torch for the parents, that the parents didn't actually pass it on. It's just that the kid just start doing and saying what they
lighting their own fires. Just got a paper towel.
Right. And I always say the kids always do it supersized, okay? So, and then you want to reprimand them, then you need to reprimand yourself because they're getting it from you.
Mm.
It doesn't magically happen. No, they've been seeing this transition from day one for them. This has been
Yes.
their life. This has been their perspective.
Yes. And when you see you in you, know that it's
Ooh,
hard to parent you out of your kids. When you
yes.
see yourself in your kids, it is
Mm,
hard to parent. And I think that when parents like go overboard in punishment, it's because a lot of times they are trying to get them out of their kids.
and
And
you
the only
can't.
way to really do that is to lead by example and be a better version of yourself.
Right. Mom, dad, do different.
Right.
And even communicate that to your child. You can be, depending on their age, you talk to them accordingly. And I don't want to say that because everybody's perception of what that is different. So I'm just
Mhm.
saying, but be honest with your children. The wording, like I said, will should be according to their age and their mental maturity state.
Right.
But you can say, I'm sure you notice or you see that when daddy or when mommy say certain things, it makes me very upset. I'm working on how I handle that.
Yes.
So that part is like, and the kids probably gonna be like, in their head, yeah. They may not say, but they're like, uh-huh, but that part of that
Like, is this
shows
a trick question?
right? But that part is showing you're taking accountability for yourself. You're
Yeah.
not saying, oh, daddy said this or mommy said this, and that's why I got upset. No, you're taking accountability on how you've been dealing with that and how you're going to work on responding, not reacting.
I love it. I love it. That was good. I know you
And
got
then,
more. Do you have more?
no, I do because I will say, and then take breaks. All of this, if you're choosing healthy for you, not as mom, not as dad of your child. No, if you're choosing healthy for you, give yourself grace. Grace don't mean that you get a pass. There's a difference. There's a difference. Okay, grace is more so in the aspect of it's emotionally draining.
Mm-hmm.
It's mentally exhausting because you're working from an emotional space that has not been developed at all. Okay, because
Yeah.
when you are functioning by way of trauma, you are not given options on how to survive. You're told to a certain degree. And so let me say that when I say you're told, you're given a role. But were you given the role of the peacemaker? Were you
Mm-hmm.
given the role of everything needed to be taken care of? Were you given the role of you were part of the problem? So, you kind of just joined into the chaos. Or were you given the role of just be quiet? Every child was given a role. And there's more. Um, and within that role as a child, ask yourself, what role was I given in my family as a child? And the roles can be different from parent to child and from sibling to sibling.
Mm-hmm.
And now I want you to think of within your co parenting relationship, what role do you default function in?
Wow. That
Because,
made me think. Go ahead. Go ahead.
oh,
Finish
go
that
ahead.
thought.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
That made me think of the phrase coping. And I think that a lot of times we think we're healing, and what we're really doing is coping. Very different because
Yes, but
coping
I don't
is
think
you processing it. Say that
right, but
again.
I would even use that word coping because coping, there is the assumption that you are processing it and the assumption that you are aware and you're responding in an effective way. I
Mm.
call it you're surviving. You're still choosing to survive, survival functioning versus coping.
Ouch. Isn't that what they say in church? Ouch.
And there's a difference, there's so many textbook terms and some of them I really feel really are not applicable to the Black community, to be honest. It sounds like you hear a word and you run with it and it's like, but what does that really mean? Now everybody use the word, oh, they're coping. No, they're not. they're surviving.
Yeah.
Because for a person who is coping in an effective way, they have happy moments.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, they are happy with themselves. For someone who's surviving, all their energy goes into just that. There is no room for anything else. They may have glimmers through their child, but as far as themselves, if you get them in a quiet room, they're not.
This feels really deep. I feel like we got to bring people out of this. Like somebody listening right now and they are pissed off.
It is okay, because if I've said, or if anything has been said within what we've talked about that kind of rubbed you the wrong way or made you feel a certain way, or like, you know, and even you can even be like, that's me. Good, because within that is showing, okay, there are aspects, there are things that I need to work on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then it's like, well, where, you know, kind of like you said, where do you start? But where do I get the support from? So this day and age, which is a great thing, the resources are actually there. You don't necessarily have to have insurance to actually get mental health support and services. You know, you don't have to pay a bunch of money. You know, there are local community mental health services. I want to say everywhere, to be honest. Granted, what that process looks like as far as getting it, I can't speak to that. But if you Google is your best friend. If it's not, I don't get from under the rock and meet him or her. Okay. Whatever pronoun you want him or her to be. Okay. So, but right, I got distracted. But within that, go to Google and type in, you know, free therapy. You know, even put in, you know, low scale paying therapy services. You can Google it. But also, if you do have the actual support of family and friends, reach out to them. Sometimes we just need to fine tune, you know what I mean? And with that, just remember that conversation is going to be uncomfortable, as it should. Because if it's comfortable, then that ain't the support I'm talking about, because they're not acknowledging and addressing what needs to be acknowledged and addressed in the level of healthy support. Because with healthy support, there's limits and boundaries as well, but then the accountability too.
And I want to say, because, you know, a lot of people go, well, I'm just brutally honest. So if you are the support and you're saying that you're brutally honest, my first question is, who said honesty has to be brutal? You can be honest and supportive and direct without it being brutal. Okay. So I just want to point that out, because people stop searching for help.
You know, right. It can be without all
and that is a subjective thing. So if the person is saying you're being too harsh and you going, I'm just being real. Well, there's a difference between keeping it real and keeping it rude. So let's be mindful of which one we choose. And be careful, because everybody's not going to respond the way you think.
You just gave me an idea. I had to write it down. You know me.
Let's go with the ideas. All right.
Yes, but hopefully. No. I'm just going to say, hopefully this was a very helpful topic.
Yes.
They
didn't get the help. They didn't want it, because you were very clear and I loved it.
And, you know, if you know someone, you know, who is in this place, you know, in their life personally, share the episode, you know. Sometimes it can be the other third party that has connection to nobody who said it, and they're like, oh, okay, you know, we know how things go. But share it.
And drop us a line at The Real on Parenting on start over. And drop us a line at The Real on Parenting at gmail.com. You knew you needed to help me out with.
I know, but you did it. You got it. That'd be the only thing I can say, right? All that other stuff, you know, I'll be mixing up the letters. But anyways, but yes,
You knew you could have helped me with that, Danielle.
But you got it.
I'm starting to rethink this friendship. You just let me struggle in front of all these people by myself.
Hey, it's all about healthy relationships, all right? And you show that you got it. All right.
TheRealOldParenting@gmail.com. Drop us a note. What did you think about this episode? What did you think about all the episodes? Is there something you want us to address? Be nice, because we
Be
just delete them when they
respectful.
mean. Yeah, because we
we
delete
got
them.
limits and boundaries, okay?
Because we delete them because we don't want to respond. Because we the ones we got a lot to lose, so we try to be really polite. But we love y'all, and we want you to be better. Hopefully, you got everything that you were supposed to get out of this episode. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Coach Kiana Shaw,
and I'm therapist Danielle,
and we are The Real on Parenting. See you later.